What's up, Arizona? Welcome into another edition of Dropping Dimes, episode 27-6. I don't know, whatever the episode is. It's been a long day, Chili. When I got up this morning, I did not think this day was going to be this long. Turns
Okay.
out Monday in the NFL, after the regular season is
Oh,
over,
you already know.
anything can happen. Got to the Cardinals facility before the sun came up.
Stunned.
As it was coming up, talked to a lot of players in the locker room. Then after that, the news drops around 10 o'clock in the morning. Jonathan Gannon fired by the Cardinals after 3 seasons in the desert, 15 wins, no playoff appearances, not really competitive in the division, kind of by the numbers. We all knew it was coming. Your reaction was what?
I'm listen. I think it was unfair. I hold on, and I like the bid. I think I'm in the minority. I really like the Bidwills. I do. I like Michael Bidwill, and I like what he's trying to do.
Trying to do.
Building one of these perceived continuous championship teams, it's tough. It's very, very tough and requires a lot of luck in addition to the skill of assembling these rosters and playing with the salary cap and all of that. You need to get lucky. And this franchise, unfortunately, just has it's always just been a little unlucky. Guy doesn't work out for them. That guy goes on somewhere else and flourishes. The one guy that does work out for them, they can never seem to get right in the support of him. And obviously, I'm talking about Larry Fitzgerald. Like they had a small stretch of which they were able to build around him. But then Anquan Bolden leaves, Kurt Warner departs, and it's always just a struggle. They were very
Seven winning seasons since they
they
moved
were
to the desert.
they were very unlucky
Seven.
with that 2019 draft where I said and am documented, draft Bosa, draft Nick
Stop.
Bosa. I swear you can look it up on
Kyler
Twitter.
was the better choice. It
No,
hasn't
that
worked
was
out.
not the better
It
choice.
hasn't worked
Look,
out that way. But
look, they had a quarterback at the time, Josh
who didn't want
Rosen.
to be there? Who didn't want to be there? Didn't care to be there. Look at what Josh Rose is doing now. You know what he's doing now? He's like going back to school for being an accountant. Didn't want to play football.
Yeah,
He didn't want to play football. That's why they were one and done with him. Kyler Murray was
look,
the obvious number one pick in that
no,
draft.
no, no. I would have taken Bosa, just like I would have taken Luca over Aiton.
Oh,
All right, but that
Philly
gets to a
going.
whole nother thing.
Oh, yeah.
That listen, 2019 is where I think that the Cardinals kind of got unlucky. Kyler just never worked out. He was never going to work out. And you had to know this and see this. I like Kyler too. He's a video gamer, kind of like myself. I like to play some games, Call of Duty,
Doesn't play
Fortnite, all that stuff.
as much as people think.
No, I'm just saying he's a video gamer though. He's a
Okay?
video gamer, and he's a good human, super talented
I
baseball
agree.
player. And I'm not trying to blame all the misfortunes of the franchise on the one player. I also think that they didn't give Wilkes enough time. I think Wilkes needed more time too. I think they fired him prematurely. I think that if they don't just ride it out with a coach and let a coach do it their way, because this never even got to the point of fully being Jonathan Gannon's team. It never was, never,
Mm.
and it's unfair. It's unfair. I don't punish the Bidwells for it. I just think that Michael Bidwell just needs to give one coach a full opportunity to revamp this team in its entirety. In its entirety. This team isn't Jonathan Gannon's team. It's not.
It's not his fault, what you're saying.
And it's definitely not his fault.
There
It's
we
not
go.
his team.
There we go.
It's not wasn't his quarterback,
Yep.
you know, and I don't know. What I am excited is I'm excited to hear the leader of the Unplugged Army get busy and rock with us. Let's go.
Doug Franz, host of the Doug Franz Unplugged podcast. Man, that entrance was better than anything I've done for you, Dougie. I'm sorry. I guess I need to be more fired up. It's been a long day. I
I
want to
was
go
going to
back to
say
bed.
the official new voice of intros and outros in the Unplugged Army. I have to tell the world this story. The head coach of the Arizona Rattlers one time comes up to me about 10 years ago and goes, "Have you heard of this Just Chili dude?"
No way.
And I said, "No, what are you talking about?" I don't know who this guy is, but he owns like he's everything, everybody. So I did the work, and I consider myself now that I know how many lives this man has touched. I'm the one that's honored to be on with Just Chili, and the Unplugged Army owes him a debt. Anybody who works hard for kids is a hero to everybody.
And to translate that for you, Chili, Doug will buy you a beer.
Yes, it was. Yes.
I'll take a Dr. Pepper. I don't drink. Your boy doesn't
Oh,
drink. I'll
there
take a
we go.
Dr.
Dr.
Pepper.
Pepper.
But
He could do that too.
All right, well,
Doug,
I'll buy me your beer and buy you a Dr. Pepper then.
see, I knew that was coming.
hey, listen. I seen Doug a lot of places, and my man Dougie Fresh over here, he's absolutely killing it with the ASU coverage, with the Cardinals coverage. He's a legend in the game and inspires me because of the way that he's reinvented himself and found the podcast world and is so successful. I've seen him out doing stuff at the bike spot with some of the ASU players. I've seen him out at the Burrito Expresses. Just man, what you do is absolutely amazing because there are so many of the older generation that they just refuse to embrace and try to reinvent themselves and use the internet for all its capabilities of right. And hey, before we get too far into that stuff, Doug, I gotta know your take on this whole thing since Cam just asked my opinion on the whole Jonathan Gannon firing, letting go.
Listen, I'm no way going to defend any human being that's done something that's lost 9 straight times. I can't live with myself if I would have done that. However, for me, it's like, what does it matter? Why should I believe any more than when you fired Ken Wisenhunt, when you fired Cliff Kingsbury, when you fired Steve Wilkes? The problem is not the head coach. I was laughing in the press conference Monday afternoon when I'm listening to Michael Bidwill say, look at the other teams and how they've done on the same hiring cycle. Well, you know what the other teams have? They have different owners. That's what the other teams have. Michael had the chance to hire Sean Payton, had the chance to rip the Band-Aid off of an obnoxious quarterback contract. He didn't. The Broncos did both. Hired Payton, ripped the Band-Aid off of Russell Wilson, and now look where they are versus look where the Cardinals are. This ain't Jonathan Gannon's fault. He should have done better, but it ain't his fault.
Dougie,
Hey,
Dougie, how'd your day start? Because I know you're up to like 5 a.m.
Yeah,
I got
my
up
day
about
ended
6:30.
at 7. My day ended at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I went to bed and I woke up at 11 in the morning and saw the news and thought I should have known. I should have known.
Dougie, I was the same way. Like when I got up this morning and left my house, I left lights on in my house because I thought I was coming right back. You know, they do locker room availability at like 8 o'clock in the morning. That lasts an hour. JG was supposed to talk at 2. I was like, okay, they're gonna get done at 9. I can go back home. I maybe can run to the gym, go get lunch, get some errands done, and be back at the facility by 2 o'clock. I did not return home until 7:30 tonight.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Oh
just
my
like I'm with you. I didn't think today was gonna happen.
I thought Michael finally understood
He
that.
woke up. He woke up.
I thought he finally understood. It's not all on Jonathan Gannon. And again, I'm not going to defend JG. He didn't get the job done. But the idea that it's his fault, no way. And I don't know where you are, Just Chili, but I would trust you with the draft in the first round a little more than Monty. Monty's hit on 25% of his draft picks. The way high school kids that are coming out, the way college kids, he's 1 out of 4 on first round picks, and yet he's the one that's staying. And I'm not trying to attack Monty. I don't think he's a disaster, but at the same point, when you're deciding it's all on JG, I have a problem with that. Like, I would like to see Monty say, you know what? If he goes, I go. We're a package deal. Stand up for the boy that you cheated to get. Don't forget that. They broke the rules to get Jonathan Gannon.
They did. Hey, I got to know your thoughts on this. The reality is, and this is what I believe the reality to be. This was never Jonathan Gannon's team. As long as Kyler Murray was going to be the starting quarterback, this team was never going to be in Jonathan Gannon's image what he really wanted. It never was. That was Cliff Kingsbury's quarterback. That was somebody else's quarterback. Jonathan Gannon was just dating somebody else's girl. That's why there's 9 bad dates there. That's why he's got to move on or something's got to change. I think that he should have been given the liberty to move off of Murray and tear up that bad contract like you're saying. I think that he should have been given that liberty and they should have moved on much faster before this season had started.
I 100% agree. I am one of the few people in the city that once the Murray manifesto came out, when his agent demanded a new contract, I said way back then, trade him now. Trade him now. Don't go into this trap. They didn't sign the deal. And my issue with it was the only caveat I will give to Michael on this, to your point, Just Chili. I was never in a meeting to know, did Jonathan Gannon stand on the table and say, I can win with Kyler? If he did, well, then he kind of does deserve to be fired. But I happen to believe Jonathan Gannon's a very smart guy. And smart football people put on tape and can see one glaring thing. Yeah. Kyler can't read a defense. I don't know whether it's he doesn't have the football IQ or whether he can't see over the center's butt. I'm not trying to be insulting. I don't know why he doesn't see coverage. I just know that he doesn't. And therefore, I have to believe Gannon knew the same thing I did. That's why I tend to agree totally with you, Chili, that he wanted to move on from Kyler and didn't have the power to do it and then got stuck getting fired anyway.
Doug, yeah, listen, I think early on, any coach interviewing for this job, I think it was all about building something around Kyler. But then listen, JG's a smart football guy. I think as the years went on, he had to see it. He had to see it that he wasn't going to be the guy. And it's partially why I believe behind the scenes, yes, Murray had a foot injury this year, but I believe they switched quarterbacks at some point this season and wrote it out with Jacoby. And then, of course, you all saw what came out of the woodwork after that is people talking about how great of a teammate Jacoby was, despite being 1-11. Whatever he was, one win as a backup quarterback. I have not heard people on that roster talk about a quarterback the way they talked about a quarterback since Carson Palmer was there. And the things going on behind the scenes that Jacoby was doing and making other players better, I hadn't heard since Carson Palmer was there a decade ago. I think that just speaks volumes about what Jacoby brought to this offense that was missing from Kyler Murray.
And that's why I don't light up a Drew Petzing either. I'm dying to know. I admit I have finagled my way into Jonathan Gannon's cell phone number, and I'm hoping that he texts me back, and I don't believe he will. But I want to know one thing. Was he fired only for wins and losses? Was he fired for something, as Chili's talking about, that has direct relationship with Kyler Murray? Or is there a chance Michael Bidwill said, fire Petzing or I'll fire you? And if that's what happened, I will get up and take a bullet for Jonathan Gannon, and I've never had a beer with him. I think that is the moral high ground, and I don't think that's that far-fetched for that possibly to have been part of the conversation, which would follow along, Cam, with the tweet you put out just at the end of the Rams game of look at the reaction of Michael and Jonathan being normal. Come the next morning, you need to fire Drew Petzing. No, I won't. Well, then you need to leave.
He always strikes me as a loyal guy, Dougie. Like, he reminds me a lot of Bruce Arians. He believes in his guys. He believes in his systems. It's kind of a good life lesson. Like, what do you do when the process that you believe you worked your whole life to build this view of what a head coach should be, and then you think you're doing the right things, and then it doesn't work? Like, how do you change? How do you adjust to that? Part of me thinks he didn't adjust to it too quickly, but another part of me believes he's stubborn enough to where he stands on the table for his guys and his ways because that's what he believes in a sense.
But hold on. When you are as successful as Bruce Arians was, you can afford to be freely loyal at all times with whoever is underneath you.
I agree
When
with you,
you are
Chili,
not
unless you mention
successful,
Amos Jones, the special teams coach.
He would not. He would not fire Amos. We were talking about that today.
I
People were
know.
like, "How loyal was BA?" I go, "I heard
Chili's
BA.
right.
I heard.
Chili's right. He won, but you still got to fire Amos.
Listen, I heard BA throw his special teams under the bus week after week. It's horrible special teams. They suck. They suck. He was never going to fire
I
his
know.
special teams coordinator.
ever.
Never, ever, ever, ever. Dougie, real quick, let's get to today's press conference. Your biggest takeaway from listening to Michael and Monty talk was what?
When Teo Mackey, America's reporter of the Arizona Republic, asked the question,
He's a
will
stud.
you be willing to pay top dollar for the best candidate? And Michael immediately shot him the look of death and said, I'm not going to negotiate it with you now. Why not? Why not say, yes, we'll do whatever it takes? I have learned by my failure in getting the best candidate. Look at Mike Vrabel and the Patriots. Look at Sean Payton and the Broncos. I could have hired either of those two. I didn't get it done. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. He didn't say that. He went to his cool lawyer line of I'm not going to negotiate, meaning to me, nothing's going to change.
I did ask him the last time he fired a coach, something about the budget. Hey, you're going to be on the hook for Cliff Kime and whoever you're paying next.
I remember you asking that.
And he goes, Cam, don't worry, it's not your money. I'm like, okay, it's a good point. But to be
That
fair,
was a good answer. Today's was not.
Today was not, Dougie. You wonder how much of that is lawyer speak and not wanting to throw that out there. But to your point, I was looking for signs today that he has changed in his approach. We've known Michael long enough. You've known him longer than I have. But there were some parts where I did, Doug, where he was actually talking about wins and losses and like it's not enough. And I think firing JG early on to start that press conference, I thought Michael was going to cry because clearly this was a difficult decision to move on from somebody that he likes. But clearly he understood. He heard the fans. Maybe he heard you or us talking like this franchise was going in the wrong direction. The fan support in my eyes is Sun Devil Stadium low right now. They're asking people for money for new tickets. The ticket prices are going up. He tried to justify that today, which to me still seems a little out of touch. Fans are not wanting to renew their season tickets. You have nothing to sell your fan base in the off season. They're not winning. They just set a record for losses in a year. The losses are piling up. So to me, in one way, he acknowledged some of that. Where like I see this franchise is going in a bad direction. I have to sell my fan base on something moving forward. Something had to change, regardless how I feel about this coach. And so to that point, maybe there is some light at the end of the tunnel and he sees some different things. But then to your point, Dougie, then he goes right back to some of those rehearsed answers. And you're just wondering, is it really going to change?
I don't see it, but I'll say this in a non-arrogant way. I feel like I'm good at connecting with fans, but I have no problem admitting Chili's better. And I would say, I would kind of take your question and turn it on to Chili and say, here's two rich white guys, Jerry Colangelo and Michael Bidwell, why do all of us in this town, maybe it's just because of 01, but or maybe our love of the Suns, why do we all gravitate to Jerry as that's an owner and none of us look at Michael like, I want to lift Jerry up. I feel like I want to be small in Jerry's presence. I'm happy to be small. When you're around Michael, you feel like he's trying to make you small. It's almost like there's no connection between Michael and the fans. Why is that?
The losing?
Hey,
seven
hold on,
winning
hold on.
seasons since they moved here?
Yeah.
Hold on, real quick. I gotta break some of that down. My guy Dougie Fresh. I gotta be honest on this. I've had 2 interactions with Michael Bidwell. No-name reporter, FM DJ, and he always made the time in those 2 moments. And I know saying always in 2 moments, it sounds crazy, but
no, that's fair.
He gave me all the time that I wanted. One time at Larry Fitzgerald's celebrity softball game, another time at a celebrity meet and greet dinner thing, where I wasn't even on the red carpet. I was just vlogging, and he was cool. And he gave, if I wanted to talk for 30 minutes, he probably would have talked to me for 30 minutes and skipped his steak dinner. But
those anecdotes are important because not a lot of people hear those.
I felt very embraced. And, I, at the time, like I said, FM DJ and no name, I did not have the name that Cam Cox or Doug Franz have in the Valley with any sort of power. The other thing is to answer your question about why do people revere Colangelo, I'll tell you why they revere Colangelo. Because Colangelo, who just like Bidwell is never going to go broke, would have gone broke to bring a championship to Phoenix, to the state of Arizona. He would have spent his last dollar on whatever it took to surround whoever needed to be surrounded with the D-backs or the Suns to make sure that a championship got here in some capacity.
Amen.
And I'm not no disrespect to the Rattlers, but something at the very top professional level. He tried it with the Suns, struggled after the Barkley situation, and then did it with the Diamondbacks. And literally, think about how bad the Diamondbacks went in the red after that. They struggled with payroll because they were paying guys like Jay Bell, Mark Grace, all those old timers.
Bernard Gilkey, they just finally finished.
Look at that. Yes, they did, Dougie.
Doug, you know what I'm talking about. All to beat the Yankees when the Yankees, for the first time in a long time, were America's team because of what happened at 9/11.
Yep.
Think about that.
Every city in America was rooting for the Yankees except for Boston and Phoenix.
Everybody. So I think that is why, and people just haven't seen that from Bidwill yet. He had
and Chili, that's because Doug, that's because they haven't won. Like today, Michael was asked about the ticket prices and where does it, and catering to just the rich fans with the casitas and the seats on the side. And to be fair to them, the Cardinals are way behind in a lot of amenities and a lot of those things. So they needed to do some of those things. But his answer after that, to me, is just a little bit out of touch. Yes, we've all seen the upgrades that they keep making into State Farm Stadium. Congratulations. You know what we do, Doug? You upgrade your home. You take care of it. You put new paint on it when it's time to put new paint. Do you change the filters every couple of months, every month like you're supposed to? Do you clean up after yourselves? When the Wi-Fi goes bad, you put better Wi-Fi in your house? Those are things you do as a homeowner. As an NFL team owner, you're like expected to do those things, or otherwise, guess what? You end up like Chase Field over there and all of a sudden need $1 billion worth of renovations because they didn't change out the pipes when they needed to. So, Mike, listen, he's a little bit out of touch. I love
where you're
answer.
going, but where does that money go? Like with the Diamond, with Chase Field, we know the money eventually goes to Corbin Burns. Even though it didn't work, we at least appreciate the effort. While we name the last time the Cardinals hired a head coach that was an experienced, established head coach. Granted, it failed with Buddy Ryan, but is that the last one? They always seem to get guys on their first go around as if they can be controlled by the owner.
It has it, Dougie. It has it, and that's the out of touch part. I still believe like they just don't do enough for the common fan, for the average season ticket holder. And Michael can say they upgraded this and that and the concessions in the stadium and all that, but flat out, whatever he's spending his money on, that's great. But guess what? They were still dead last a few years ago in the facility. I'm glad you're building a new facility in 4 years. Nutrition and some of that was lacking here recently too as well.
That's crazy.
And so it's like you're great. You're spending money on some things, but you're being cheap and asking, players to pay for meals a few years ago on a couple of other things. And so that's.
Did you hear all about that, Chili?
Yeah.
The NFLPA had a survey. We can argue whether billionaires should be buying dinner for millionaires. So that's a fair conversation. But when 31 owners say we're going to have a free meal for you so we can get you at the weight we want you to be, when 31 other owners do something and you are kind of a losing franchise and you say, no, we're not doing it that way. Yeah. That doesn't look very good.
Yeah, Dougie, that's where I just think they listen. And I think Michael maybe would admit that if you ever got to a one-on-one behind closed doors, they've cut some corners. And I think he's starting to change a little bit of that, but clearly it's not enough yet. And hopefully maybe with this cycle, it'll be enough. And when you say experience
too, but I didn't see it today.
Not to the fullest level. I get where you're going with that. You didn't see it to the fullest level you wanted to.
I wanted remorse.
Yeah.
I wanted him to admit
Remorse.
I'm not getting the job done. Listen.
He stopped short of that. He stopped
It'll
short
never
of that.
happen. I want him to hire a president and step away,
Yeah.
and I know that'll never happen.
Oh.
So then what's next? What's next is remorse, is to admit, you know what? I'm not good at this. I'm going to do it differently now. And I have never seen it. And I think you guys know the stat, but in case you don't, Raiders are number one with, I think the Cardinals became a real franchise in 06 because that's when State Farm Stadium was open. And it's unfair to judge them when they played at Sun Devil Stadium. You can't ask fans to pay NFL prices for metal bleachers in 110 degrees. So if we go by 06 as the benchmark, the Raiders have had 11 coaches since then. 2 teams have had 8. And the Cardinals are in 4th place. They're the 4th worst franchise at turnover of coaches. They averaged 3 years a coach ever since 2006. You're never going to succeed when the owner doesn't change who he is and then keeps rifling through coaches.
Do you think he's changed it all, Dougie?
No,
Not at all.
no.
Not a sliver. Not a maybe we'll do things a little differently. Maybe here and there.
Where? I mean, when you look up and down the situation that's gone on, it's still the same thing. A coach comes in, they last 2 or 3 years, GM gets 1 or 2 coaching hirings, and then we move on. Michael's the one constant since 06. And sure, you can say, hey, he got him to a Super Bowl. Yes, that's true. But if you can live off of that, then Ken Wisenhunt and Rod Graves would still be head coach and general manager. What have you done for me lately? And this is one of the losingest franchises in football. And you can only look at Michael Bidwill as the constant.
Real quick, Dougie, I love your background. There's a protect the nest flag in the corner right behind you.
I'm a fan of people. I want Cardinals fans to be happy.
Yeah. And then Chili, while you were talking about Michael Bidwill, your background fell down.
Oh, I know. I'm losing.
Doug, it was the ghosts of Cardinals past. He said something, and all of a sudden it went bam.
No, I know. I have to peel these things off the back because the what's it called?
Yeah.
I'm jealous of the soundproofing.
These little soundproofing things and I can't peel these ones they're weirdly stuck on the edge. So I'm trying to figure that out. But
Cam, you don't know this, but me being a sound guy, let me tell everybody
I know you're a sound.
Watching 12 plus.
I know you're a sound guy.
That stuff ain't cheap. I am a huge fan that just Chili. When you replace that, send me your old stuff. I would love the scraps of the Chili studio.
Chili, let me tell you something. There are a few things Doug loves more in life. One is a road trip where he can drive all the hours in the world in the car. The longer the road trip, the more Doug has to drive, the happier he is because he gets to plan out how many miles between stops. And we're talking hundreds of miles.
Stops when it needs gas.
There we
Why
go.
would a car stop if it doesn't need gas?
And the second thing my man loves is good audio. He has the ear for clean, crisp, old school radio audio. So
he gets it. Legend in the game, man. Listen, how do the Cardinals fix this? Who's the can't miss head coach that you guys think that the Cardinals need to bring in? And don't talk about the one down the street in Tempe because I know a lot of people want him, and I know that nobody can activate the Valley quite like he does. But
I said it earlier.
I want to know.
It's not going to happen, Chili. But I said it earlier. Go ahead, Doug.
You guys say that. Why?
Hold on. Do they call? Real quick, Doug, before you get to your list, do they call Kenny? Do they call Kenny?
Why wouldn't
they have
you?
to?
Why wouldn't you? That's what I said.
Why
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why would you or why wouldn't you?
The Cardinals have the one thing that Michigan and Alabama and all those other places don't have. They are in Arizona. So they are the one team that I truly believe can compete with Arizona State. In terms of
I'll give you another one. How about the Giants draft Jordan Tyson and hire Kenny Dillingham?
Oh man,
you can have Scat and JT.
We can't let him leave. So Doug, real quick, do you think the Cardinals call ASU? Call Kenny?
No, I think they call. No, because I don't think Michael would ever. I think he would think that's beneath him. I think he would believe I'm not going to do that because I don't want to go there and admit ASU has a better coach than I do. But keep in mind, a lot of people forget this. He did not hire the head coach at Texas Tech. He hired the 1 week offensive coordinator at USC. That's where Cliff Kingsbury was. So if he was willing to do that, why wouldn't you make a run at Kenny Dillingham? I would throw this out.
All right, give me your list. Come on.
If
Here we go.
supposedly, I don't believe it, but if supposedly the world is really this upset at Tyler Loop of U of A, and stay off the kid, rip him for missing the field goal, but stay off his family life. But if you're really going to be that upset as a Ravens fan at John Harbaugh, why not flip him the 35th pick in the draft, which is your second round pick at number 3 in the second round, maybe even 2 second round picks, and draft Harbaugh as the head coach?
Oh,
like why mess around with the guy that you don't know? The Ravens are really upset about the last couple years.
They are.
I don't think they're going to fire Harbaugh, but if you're willing to come strong and offer a John, remember the Raiders traded for Gruden, or no, it was the Bucks trading for Gruden from the Raiders. Why not go after a proven winner?
So John Harbaugh is an interesting name because they tailor-made that offense for Lamar Jackson. And if they end up keeping Kyler, maybe something similar can be done here. I like Harbaugh. Other names I'll throw out there just because I thought of these today, Dougie, in line with experience here and get your reaction to them. Mike McCarthy.
No.
oh,
Okay.
I'm not a McCarthy fan, but a lot of people are.
He won 12 games back-to-back years before getting canned by Dallas. I mean, that
Yes.
hasn't happened here, I don't think, ever. So that brings winning and experience, and he calls plays.
Nothing wrong with that, but
Bri-
I don't know about truly developing the quarterback. I think he needs an established quarterback.
Okay. Brian Flores. They interviewed him last cycle and liked him.
I love Brian Flores, but it won't happen because Bidwell is a commissioner guy, and Roger Goodell, I don't believe wants that guy hired. I think legally they should hire Brian Flores because it screws up the lawsuit. It's hard to sue the NFL and say they're all racist, they won't hire me when there's a team that hires him. But I believe Goodell is vindictive, doesn't want Brian Flores as a head coach, and therefore I don't think Michael would have the onions to do it.
Kevin Stefanski.
dang.
I have no issues with Stefanski. You can't. The Browns are one of the few franchises that dream of being the Cardinals someday. So I have no problem with Stefanski.
2-time coach of the year.
Yeah.
Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. Many believes he deserves another shot after that miserable experience with the Jets.
Jets, again, one of the few teams and one of the few franchises in all of sports that dreams of being the Cardinals someday with their terrible ownership and situation. I not only love that because I think Saleh's a brilliant dude, I also like it because you're robbing from a division rival. However, I would want to know who the offensive coordinator is, and I would interview the offensive coordinator along with Robert Saleh before I hired him.
Okay. Last, Arthur Smith. I saw his name thrown around today.
He didn't do enough. I hate to blame him because where was he? You know, the one of the teams that have hired as many coaches as the Cardinals one more than the Cardinals is the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
And one of the few owners in sports that I think is 500 times worse than Michael Bidwell is the entire Titans ownership group, Bud Adams' daughter, Amy. So I'm not going to blame him for, some of the struggles, but he doesn't excite me either.
All right. Hey, what about those Chiefs coordinators? What about Nagy? What about the defensive coordinator, Spagnuolo?
Again, I'll go with Spags. Tell me who I'm getting as the offensive coordinator. And I just don't want him to tell me who he's going to get. I want to interview them. I want to know them. Let me throw out the craziest name that no one's ever thrown out.
If it's Sean Aguano, me and you are thinking with the same brain.
No, but that's what a great dude. How about Kurt Warner?
Oh, I love that. I actually love that. I love that. And let me tell you why I love that.
We're not going to have enough time for him to respond to this text, but I'm going to text Kurt right now. I got to charge his phone to do it. But I'm going to text Kurt. And Dougie, I'm going to let you know what he says.
Okay.
Let me tell you why I love that. Why I love that so much. Because Kurt Warner is a community guy out here. People absolutely love and think that Kurt Warner is a hero. And going back to like what you were talking about earlier, Doug, about needing a community face here, I think that that's a home run. I think that
Do
that
you
is
want to
an
connect to the
absolute home
fans?
run.
I mean, Kurt Warner, I look at it, I know the man can coach. So the question is about family. This would be the one city where he could do it. And what drives me up a wall, I will never understand this. When you talk to Kurt Warner, you immediately feel his brilliance. If you're not willing to hire him as head coach, please God, hire him as a consultant. No offense to Monty Ossenfort, I am not trusting you with the single biggest decision in the history of the Cardinals. And that decision is number 3. Are you trading it? Are you taking Reuben Bain? Or are you taking a quarterback? Let Kurt Warner come to the combine. Let him work out every quarterback in this draft. Let him decide, is there somebody that they can draft at number 3? Like, look at Drake May. I think it worked out pretty well for him at number 3. Or maybe you draft Carson Beck, not at number 3, but at number 35. The third pick in the second round. Maybe you go after Lenore Sellers in the 3rd round.
Ooh.
I'm not going to say I know. I just want Kurt Warner in that room, in that decision. Do what he says when it comes to quarterback.
Last name, Dougie. Think Kubiak.
Ooh, from the Seahawks. I like that. I like him.
I like Kubiak. Like the family.
I think he went to the playoffs in his first year at Denver, and then things got a little rough. But that was right when the ownership of the family was like dissolving and things were getting to be a mess. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Hey, I like our Spags Warner combination though the best. Out of everything that we talked about, I really like our Spags Warner thing the best.
You pull that off. And Kurt doesn't have the ego, so it might be like Spags isn't going to make the lateral move and the Chiefs won't let him, but you could hire him as the head coach to get around that. He runs the defense, and Kurt doesn't need to be head coach or offensive coordinator. He's fine either way, I bet.
Look at Doug stirring the pot. Dougie, we got to let you go. Running out of time here. We could literally talk all night. Thank you,
man. We got to do this again. Doug. I appreciate you.
Man, amen. And Chili, let's meet up. Do you want 100 Mile Brew? Do you want Burrito Express? Do you want Bell's Nashville Kitchen? Let's meet up and get lunch.
Absolutely, I'm in. I'll DM you, man. I appreciate you.
Amen.
There we go. Dougie, appreciate the time, my friend. We'll see you Sunday night on 12 Sports Tonight, buddy.
Oh, good. Cheers.
There we go. Cheers. Doug Franz, host of the Doug Franz Unplugged podcast. It's always great to get the chance to talk to Dougie.
Consider me a member. Consider me a member of that army.
Yeah.
Consider me one of his soldiers, designated soldiers.
Oh, hold up! What just happened in the Suns game? Hey,
what just happened?
You're gonna have to go watch it. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for watching Dropping Dimes. Oh, come on, man!
Come on.
They can't get any longer.
Houston.
Oh no!
Your boys, H-Town, baby.
They tied it late. Bad shot by the Suns. KD the winner. Ooh,
oh man, that's your guy.
He still doesn't affect winning.
Hey, real quick though. Real quick.
Go.
The Suns cooked. The Suns cooked last night. Got to show them some love.
Yeah.
They lost tonight, but they cooked last night. All right, Devin Booker, you know the deal.
There we go. Good night. God bless.
Me and my guy Gridiron, we're gonna break some things down, and we will have Beetlejuice. I'll say it 2 more times tomorrow.
There we go. I'm Cam. He's Chili. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Dropping Dimes. We'll see you next week. Coach Regal, get better, buddy.
I love you.